Yes, I've been tasked with video response to needs and challenges of disaster. Um, the particular disaster we're speaking of is Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, where there was so much devastation. The person that was being interviewed said that the people needed lots of energy. This heroic phase that they're in right after the storm or after the disaster, and you need lots of energy because you are running around. You're trying to get everything done. You want to make sure that these people don't feel alone. You want to make sure that they have what they need so they don't start feeling left out or lost or anything. During the heroic phase, she noticed a greater sensitivity to God, that those that had some type of spiritual or religious background, they were more apt to be able to listen, have a little hope in God. So they became closer to God. And when you're closer to God and believe in a higher power, then you know that no matter what the situation is going to work itself out. The people were open. They were willing to talk, let people into their lives, because this was a devastation. This was not, of course, no disaster is planned, but nobody expected the amount of carnage that was left behind after Katrina. With every phase, everybody went through something, and they were open to speaking about it. And when you speak about it, it it makes it makes it real to them, and it validates how they're feeling after something this magnitude happens. The best thing you can do in the heroic phase is self care, but most likely people don't think about self care. They just go, 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 go. And then they run themselves down and they're not able to help. So that is uh, one of the things in the heroic phase. Another thing is the people, speaking of the people of Louisiana, they did not have a sense that this was long term. This was not something they were going to be able to just pick up, clean up, and we're done. Here it is, so many years later, and there are still people living in those broken down homes that still probably have mold in them. They have nowhere to go. The progress now is very slow. The grants and the monies that were coming in, they're not coming in like that anymore. So the churches have taken over because they know the community, they know the people. So they try to help as many as they can. And it's just amazing what has gone on. And the workers become so exhausted that they can't work anymore. So they need to start, well, they should have started looking at it as a long term venture, but they didn't. And it's not because they just wanted things to get back to the way they were. Okay. Uh, they feel like denial, the people were in denial about a long term event because that was their way of coping. If I say, oh, this storm, we're going to be okay with this, we're going to do a little this, little that, and we'll be all fine. But it doesn't work like that. So that was a drawback, is the coping mechanism as a defensive mode. So that, they tell themselves in denial, because they're in denial, everything's going to be okay. Nothing, everybody's here right now. We're going to be fine. But then you move to the honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase, the people are feeling good because they have all this support, and then the support starts backing out. Not because they want to back out, but because resources are drying up. This is where the clients crash and burn because they feel like they're being left. They feel like no one cares now. So they just kind of, it's just not good, and they have to come to the realization, hey, this is long term, And it's nothing we can do about it. We're just going to have to do the best we can with what we have and try and depend on others to help us. It's a shame, but because of Katrina, a lot of different ailments came up. And I'll discuss those more in the disillusionment phase. In that phase, there is an overwhelming amount of people coming to counseling because they're trying to understand now. They realize this is not a short term event, this is long term, and they don't know how to cope with it. They were getting funded, they were getting the monies they need, they were getting the food, clothing, whatever they needed, and now it's like they've been left alone. And that causes depression, it causes anxiety, it can start the beginning of PTSD. But the thing that they would like them to do is to see the therapist if they can. And another thing that was shown was that suicide in two of the parishes, Jefferson and St. Bernard, there was an increase in suicides. So now, on top of the people having such an influx for just regular therapy, you have to now screen everybody for suicide. You screen anyway, but now it's really imperative that you maybe screen more, take a better look, listen a little harder so you might understand what they're going through. Um, the After, when you're in the disillusionment phase, everything gets harder. In the clinic or the office that this lady that was being interviewed works in, she said they advertised like for 2 months, and now they can't keep up with the people. And they have 5 centers, I believe she said, and they have somewhere for teens to go. Because not only are the adults affected, the children are affected too. Because they're uprooted, they don't know where they're going. Some of them, the schools were not right, and they were being bussed all across town trying to get to somewhere where they could go to school. It was a horrific incident, and it did appear to them that they were all alone. There was no one to help them. But again, these churches have stepped up. And as the lady said, the people have become closer to God because they have, I think she said they had 3 or 4 churches, the main church, and then some satellite churches. That's how great the demand is for religious teachings and learnings. And I think that's always a good thing because they can learn how to ask God for what they need. They can ask God to keep them with hope because if you have God, you have hope. So once they understand that this is a long term event, that it's not going anywhere, they just need to keep bonding together as a community and do the best that they can with what they have and not be so, uh, not let illnesses take over. They had physical things, back pains, headache. I can imagine that because um, initially after Harvey here in Houston, I lost everything. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But that's what I remembered, God. And because I remembered God and because I prayed, I'm back in my house now and I have a house full of furniture. Those are material things, but God allowed me to have those things somewhere to sit, a table, a stove to cook on. I had nothing. And so I can empathize with these people, even sympathize, because I've been in their shoes, not to the extent that they had, but I do know what it's like to lose everything and not know where the help is coming from or if there's going to be help. And I'm grateful I did not have to wait 5, 6 years to get my house fixed. I did a little bit at a time, and it is now almost back to where it was, and that's been 6 years now. 6 years. But as long as you believe in God, things will work out. Thank you for your time.